your team, another great team with Scott Norton, and he asked about the chemistry that you had in that tandem. Really evident. Do you have any good stories about working with Scott?
Oh man, that's number one. Scott, through all of my tag teams, I loved them all. Was great friends with every one of them. I don't really have a favorite. I really don't. But I do believe, and even me and Scott Norton is not a favorite of mine because we wasn't together long enough. But there is no doubt in my mind that if me and Scott Norton would have continued, that would have been the best tag team in the history of pro wrestling. And 80% of that quote would have been because of the name. Vicious and Delicious is spectacular. It was a kid named us that. We were at a TJ Applebee's type, like a bar type grill restaurant out of state somewhere, like not in Georgia, but like I think it was like Michigan. And I remember this kid was behind us, and me and Scott turned to him, and the kid with these eyes looks at us and he goes, "Vicious and Delicious." And Scott started laughing, and I go, "What'd you say?" And I wrote it down, and I said, "What? Wait a minute. What made you think of that?" And he didn't tell me. He just went, "Vicious and Delicious" again. And me and Scott Norton went straight home and airbrushed everything on my pants. Delicious, Vicious on his. And brother, we were off and running, and it was going to be because of the NWO and because of the name Vicious and Delicious. That was going to be the best tag team ever. You got the big vert vicious barrel chested Japanese killer, and you got the pretty boy Punk that's beautiful. It was incredible. It was going to be the best thing ever. And I don't know if you remember what happened, but it was my broke neck that stopped it.
Yeah.
Because when I came back to TV, Norton was in Japan and Scott Steiner was there. So they put me with Steiner, and that was another great connection.
Absolutely. I always like to get the reminiscences of WCW guys during your era in terms of working that Sturgis pay-per-view. And for a guy that was, a heel during the time frame, did you find, given the way that the crowd was there, that it was really hard to do what you need to do to get the hot tag to when the baby face is making the comeback? Because it looked like a lot of the time the heels were cheered. So that question and just that general experience that you had there.
Well, yeah, it was that crowd being bikers. I think we wrestled Harlem Heat there.
Yes.
And so, being black guys, I think they automatically were probably the heels because they were black. And then you had all the Harley dudes are white dudes, So I think that caused a little bit of heat. And plus that the NWO was over, So tough crowd. But yeah, we were more the baby faces there, of course. But we always had great matches. Of all things, for me and Booker's match to go down as a bad match, even though I think that's ridiculous. It wasn't a great match, but it wasn't a bad match. But for it to go down in history, I would like people to investigate if they get bored enough. Look at every time that me and Booker wrestled, and it was a lot. How great we were together. Me and Booker's chemistry was the best that I have ever had in my career.